Hello and welcome to the SBK Saturday Selections, episode 9 of the Saturday Selections as well. We've had a few winners over the last few weeks. We're looking to continue that going forward, but it is a tricky week upcoming in the UK and also over in the US. We'll get to that in a few moments' time, but firstly, my name's Luke Elder. Joining me, as always, is my partner in crime. Do I say that?
We can go with partner in crime. I'm thinking
we'll try
more
it
like
for
Blues
1 week.
Brothers vibes.
Blues Brothers. Friend?
Friend will do. Friend will do.
Friend.
And you know what? You're even more of a friend after you posted 2 UK selections in the pod last week, Luke. Very well done.
Too right. Welcome, Tom Collins. And thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. We started off very bright last week because we put up 5 together. We were 2 from 3 and then...
Yeah. You started amazingly well. I mean, New Year's honours, we have to talk about that. An incredible selection from yourself. I think it was 10-1 with SBK at the time when you tipped him.
I think it was sixes.
7? Oh, okay, 6s. Definitely open 10 with one firm anyway. Hopefully someone grabs that price, or at least a 6 or 7 to 1. Bookmark, one of the fan favourites of this pod, obviously got the job done for yourself. And then, as you say, it was kind of a downhill spiral from there. But look, the US selection ran okay, Shahama, but we'll come to that race in a little while.
Yeah, I'm going to actually re-record this bit. Welcome to the SBK Saturday Night Selections, sponsored by Mo Donegal and Bookmark. It's got a ring to it.
It does. They're 2 horses that have done us very well so far.
Yeah, Bookmark was meant to run yesterday, so Thursday. We're recording this on Friday, but didn't in the end. But yeah, it wasn't a bad week last week, so we'll look to pick that up. Albeit, I must say, I don't think either of us are that keen on as much this week. So maybe a lower key week. But we've got good racing over in the US to look forward to. We also have got to review last week. Didn't go great, Tom, in the Mother Goose. Obviously, Gerrymander came out on top.
Yeah, it was a race a result that I didn't anticipate. Chad Brown is just further dominating the New York scene, whether it's turf or dirt. I feel like I'm saying this every week now from the feature race. Being notched another top-level success with Gerrymander in the Mother Goose, a result that neither of us really anticipated. We kind of billed it as a match between Juju's Map and Shahama. Maybe we'll come to those in a second, but Gerrymander was very impressive, broke nicely, sat third in mid-division early on, scooted and loomed wide around the bend and just kicked clear. It was a clear career best from Gerrymander, one that we couldn't really anticipate. And you know what, it'll be interesting where Chad Brown goes with her next, because she's clearly on an upward spiral and she deserves a crack at grade 1 level.
Yeah, I will say one thing. It's not as if Gerrymander had the race set up perfectly and the other 2 didn't, because there were no excuses really. It was a fairly run contest. They didn't go too hard up front like we were hoping that they would for Shahama, but Shahama kind of bobbled out the stalls. But there were no excuses all around. It was literally a case of best horse on the day 1. Yeah,
exactly that. As you say, Shahama stumbled, and there were clear excuses as to why maybe she didn't finish a length closer to Gerrymander, but there's no way she was the best horse in that field. They went really slow through the first quarter, 24 and change. And we were kind of anticipating 22 or low 23s, which didn't help Shahama. But at the same time, because she stumbled at the start, it allowed Flavien Prat to regain a good position on her. Then they really quickened up in the second quarter. Florent Geroux inefficiently rode Juju's Map, we'll say, pushed her to the front to try and make the pace quicker. She faded dramatically out of contention. She was a bit disappointing. And once she faded, I was hoping that Shahama was going to go through and win the race, but she just wasn't good enough. Gerrymander, clear-cut winner. Shahama's still a horse I want to follow. She only had 2 starts in the US, still improving, and maybe she will strike at grade 1 or grade 2 level, but she just wasn't the best horse last week.
No, not at all. We said on the podcast that the race will either go 2 ways. Juju's Map will get a really soft lead and go away and win easily, or they'll go too hard and hopefully set it up for Shahama. We actually watched the race together, which is adorable. We kind of said to each other after the first furlong and a half, well, this has gone the other way. Juju's Map's got a really soft lead. This is game over. She'll go away and win quite nicely now. And I very disappointing that didn't happen in Juju's Map's camp.
Yeah, I mean, if you were betting and running on this race, you'd be thinking this filly, Juju's Map's absolutely cert up in front. As I say, they quickened up in the second quarter, but that allowed her to get a length advantage. And when you're a length ahead of horses like Shahama, who stumbled out the stalls, and they also went a slow gallop, so it didn't necessarily 100% suit her. Gerrymander, who we didn't think was good enough, it looked like Juju's Map was going to go clear, and she would have been short in running. But yeah, as you mentioned, she was very disappointing. She weakened dramatically out of contention. She's not a filly I want to be siding with in the future. Now, I know she's a grade 1 winner, and she's only, I think, had 6 or 7 starts, so she's still lightly raced. But at the same time, when a horse regresses like that with a clear pace setup that suits in a race she should be winning, technically or on form, I mean, it's very disappointing. And she kind of just puts an X in the box next to her name. I'd want to be taking her on in the future anyway.
Are you taking Shahama forward?
I think it depends what kind of race she's in. If there's a big pace bias in the race, then probably I'll probably back her again. But at the same time, she didn't really wow me as I'd hoped that we would be wowed.
Yeah, I get that. It was more of a lethargic effort, I'd say, from exactly. Shahama. I know there was a bit of a stumble at the start, but we're not really talking excuses there. It was just something that didn't really go right at the start. But anything else from the Mother Goose that you want to throw out, or from last week?
Not overly. As I say, I think Gerrymander's a filly that you've got to keep a close eye on. Chad Brown in general. Saratoga's coming up in the next couple of weeks, next week actually, I think. And Chad Brown's going to have an incredible string of horses there. Saratoga obviously being the best meeting in the US, in my opinion, but definitely in New York over the course of the year. I expect Chad to just dominate at Saratoga. I don't know how many winners it will notch up, but he usually dominates anyway. But the domination we've seen so far this year just suggests he's going to be winning graded stakes races after graded stakes races. Yeah,
one thing I look for at Saratoga as well is wow performances. It's a track that you very much can get a horse. I mean, Chancelot, granted dubious circumstances in looking back at things, but he posted what was it 120 speed figure?
Yeah, something absolutely ridiculous from the front. You can get those kind of performances, as you mentioned, from Saratoga, can't you? You can get these horses, especially sprinters, that go out hard early, just keep rolling and rolling, going down the straight and posting these massive figures. Chancelot, obviously, I mean, we all know what happened during the rest of the season, but I anticipate there'll be a few big figures coming up.
Yeah, I think Imperial Hint as well ran on a 6 furlong race, broke the 5 furlong track record, the 5.5 furlong track record, and also the 6 furlong track record in the same run. So it is a track that if it is playing fast, it can go that way. But yeah, looking forward to Saratoga, mainly for the fact that after you left last week, Tom, at the Sky Studios, that racing was diabolical.
You weren't given the ideal shift with Los Alamitos and a bit of Charlestown, but hey, look, you're in again this weekend. We both are, and hopefully we'll be treated to some nice racing, especially at Belmont, where the John A Nerud is the feature.
That's the spirit. We'll get on to the John A Nerud now. Just the 5 to go through. We'll do our runner-by-runner analysis, albeit it will just be probably more of a 2-runner analysis in all honesty. Life is Good is one of them, though, who's drawn the 1 box. That's no negative. Obviously, he's a horse that likes to go forward. His works recently have been all right. He's been kept ticking over. He's been posting sort of 49 seconds over 4 furlongs. That's fine. You're not really going to be shouting from the rooftops about things on his reappearance. Obviously, the last time we saw him was in the Dubai World Cup over at Meydan. He pretty much won that race for 90% of it and just didn't get home over the extra furlong. Obviously, we saw him very, very impressive at Gulfstream in the Pegasus. Personally, I didn't think the trip would be an issue, but obviously dropping down in trip, that's going to be no sort of concern here whatsoever. You would like to think that Life is Good would get to the front, and I'm not sure there's anything in this race good enough to beat Life is Good, Tom.
No, he's definitely the worthy morning line favourite. I think he's 1-2 on the morning line, and horse number 2 is Repo Rocks, who's 12-1 on the morning line, 12-1 in a 5-runner field, but the third favourite in the race, which shows the domination of the top 2 in the market here. Repo Rocks is a regular on the Belmont circuit and in New York in general, but he generally contends allowance optional claiming contests or just allowance contests. He's not really a graded stakes performer. He ran a big speed figure when he came home in front over 6 furlongs in allowance optional claimer at this track in April. But he's kind of struggled in 2 stakes races since. I don't think he's good enough to contend the finish here. He's got a nice draw in gate 2. He's back to dirt, which maybe we'll see him in better light, and he drops in trip. But at the same time, I think he's probably booked for 3rd at best.
Yeah, I think 3rd place is very much up for grabs with Repo Rocks. Harvard, last place is probably up for grabs, to be honest. He's not really got a chance in here, albeit he will get some decent prize money, and he'll turn out. It's obviously a small enough field, so not terrible race placement, but he's completely out of his depth here. He was last of 7 in an allowance optional claiming last time around over at Belmont. It's just not a race that Harvard is going to be figuring in. I'd like to try and spin a more positive web on that, but I can't.
No, and I can't really spin a positive web on the 4 either. Wartoxin, 30-1 on the morning line. Fair play to Connections for giving this a go with this horse. He's just not good enough. He's only 3 from 41 in his career. He's been seen at his best over 6 furlongs. This 7 furlong trip probably won't suit him ideally. He's a forward-going type, So he's going to likely want to take on the likes of Life is Good and the horse we're about to come to in a minute, Speaker's Corner, for the early advantage. I highly doubt he's got the talent or the speed to contend early on, and that'll probably see him fade out of contention. You said Harvard for last, maybe Wartoxin finishes last.
Yeah, good race for it.
It would, yeah. If we could have a match
race.
bet for that, it'd be quality.
Yeah, all over that. Speaker's Corner is the final horse to mention in the John A Nerud, who is the other horse in here with a chance. Ran third last time around at Belmont. Obviously, that was behind Flightline in the Met mile. I do think he might just come up a little bit short in this, but I feel for Speaker's Corner. He's met Flightline, and now he's going to meet Life is Good. He's probably going to bump into the two best horses in America in back-to-back races, away from the real big races, i.e. Breeders' Cups and whatnot. But he's here. He's given it his shot. The problem with Speaker's Corner is he's probably going to try and race Life is Good. And that might just cost him like it did last time around. Whether he can hold on for second. They are weaker horses against Speaker's Corner. But unless Life is Good is really, really not ready for this, then Speaker's Corner shouldn't be beating him. However, he did put up a fantastic rivalry a little while ago with my favorite horse in North America in Fearless. So I had to mention him. But Speaker's Corner, second best in the race. We'll get into the actual preview, Tom, and it's a race that shouldn't take a great deal of talking about. But if Life is Good is 80-85% fit, really ought to win this.
Yeah, exactly that. As you say, in the Dubai World Cup, he looked the winner throughout that race. He travelled really well on the front end, showed his brilliant gate speed as we expect from Life is Good every time. And he got to the front, turned for home in the lead, and just got swallowed up. The extra furlong just didn't suit that day. I think he had a clear excuse as to why he didn't win. He just flattened out, weakened out of contention. And, I expect a much better performance now that he's dropped down in trip. I don't think 7 furlongs is his ideal trip. I think he's better over a mile. But at the same time, he should easily get away with it in this field. It's a match race between Life is Good and Speaker's Corner. Life is Good 1-2 on the morning line, Speaker's Corner 6-5. I anticipate Life is Good going off around 4-11, 1-3. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he went off at 1-5 in the US. Now, I know Speaker's Corner is a very good horse. He's obviously contested the likes of Flightline and some good quality races, but this race just doesn't set up for him. He's a forward-going type as well, and he likes to dominate. And with Life is Good in this field, he's not going to be able to.
No, he's not whatsoever. Do you think we can assign him the tag of very, very good grade 2 horse, not quite grade 1 horse, Speaker's Corner?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But he hasn't yet proven that he's a proper grade 1 horse. And it's hard for a horse like him because he dominates races in grade 2, grade 3 company, but you just can't do that in grade 1s. And he's going to have to find another way of getting around it and winning these kind of contests. The thing is that not only has he got great gate speed, he's got good acceleration, good early speed, he also does battle back under pressure. He's not a type to fold and crumple under pressure when the rivals come from him, even deep closers. But when you're tackling a horse as quick as the likes of Flightline and Life is Good, it's just so hard to live with them through the 3/4 section of the race, going around the home turn, entering the home turn, and coming into the straight. That, Speaker's Corner kind of goes down on his sword. Now, we should say that both of these horses have phenomenal records. Life is Good is 6 from 8 in his career. Speaker's Corner is 6 from 10. And they're both really improving types. Life is Good is one of the best horses in the US and probably in the world.
Yeah.
He's coming off a big layoff. Maybe, just maybe, this is the time to catch him with Speaker's Corner. And fair play for Bill Mott to actually running him in this race, because no one ever wants to take on one of these best, incredible equine superstars like Life is Good. But I just find it really difficult to side with him. It's going to be Life is Good for me, and I imagine yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Life is Good. I mean, my angle was trying to find who was going to finish third in the race, and Repo Rocks should. I don't think this trip is 100% what Repo Rocks wants. If it was 6 furlongs, it would be a bit more to the liking. I'm not overly sure about stretching out to this. So it does open it up. But then again, you look at the other two and you think, well, there's no way surely they can get the better of Repo Rocks, who in their caliber, Repo Rocks is a very good horse.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Repo Rocks probably will finish third. Now, this is a really unoriginal analysis from us because we're just following the market. But at the same time, it's a race that lacks complete depth. The top 2 are in a league of their own. And then you've got 3 also rounds in this field, horses that aren't really graded company. And, no offense to connections or whatever, but it's great that they've given this a shot like Bill Mott has with Speaker's Corner. But I think they're kind of playing for place money here. Repo Rocks, I imagine, will finish third. I think Harvard will probably finish fourth. He's the horse that will likely sit last early on. Maybe pick off Wartoxin, maybe even pick off Repo Rocks if Repo Rocks doesn't stay the trip ideally. He's also owned by China Horse Club, who own Life is Good as well. So they put him in there to try and pick up some place money. But I think it'll probably be Life is Good, beats Speaker's Corner, beats Repo Rocks, beats Harvard, beats Wartoxin. But we haven't gone one of these races yet, the main analysis races, without having a non-runner. So who knows what's going to happen, Luke?
It's going to be boring when Life is Good comes out, isn't it? Or Speaker's
Corner 1 to 5.
Yeah, Speaker's Corner 1 to 5, or Life is Good 1 to 20. Which, I mean, that should be how the race happens. We're sitting here, we're trying to find an angle in, but it's not that race, to be honest. It's not the strongest of betting heats. I will say that much. Unless Life is Good goes a crazy price, or there are vibes coming out before the race that he's very much not fit. Then we've got a race in our hands. But for now, not sure. Last week, we did have a good week tipping wise. We're going to have a quick look at the UK action. I think it's a week, Tom, that neither of us are really too heavy on anything in the UK, but both of us putting up one.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Last week, I was a bit lukewarm on my selection, though he actually ran terrible high M8. Apologies for that. This week, I mean, as you say, it's just a struggle to even find one. It's really low-key events at Carlisle especially, but that's where we're going to go for both our selections. Mine is Recherche in the 850 at Carlisle, the last race on the card. And the only angle I've got here is that Rafe Beckett barely makes the trip up to Carlisle. He's only had 11 runners at the track in the last 5 years. 2 winners have come from those 11 runners. He sends just one horse up to Carlisle, and that is Recherche. Dougie Costello takes the ride. This filly has run behind a couple of nice sorts in Crystal Estrella, trained by Sir Michael Stout, who finished behind Emily Upjohn, the Oaks second, on a previous attempt at Sandown. And then last time out, she finished 4th, but it was a race that featured 3 decent horses. Our Jester finished 3rd. The winner, trained by Mark and Charlie Johnson, is actually a decent sort as well. So I think this is a much weaker affair for Recherche. That was a tongue twister there, wasn't it? A little riddle. But I think she'll get off the mark. Rafe Beckett wouldn't make this long journey north for no reason.
What was the horse you tipping again?
Recherche.
Very good. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm going to side a little bit earlier on in the day, the 720, Elsa, who, like I say, it is more tentative, but he's a horse that I've liked this season. I was with him when he won a couple of outings ago when he managed to win. Not after timing, it didn't happen that day. But then I was also with him when he lost last time around at Ripon, but not sure things really went perfectly that day. It's a race that's working out all right as well, but had to sort of try a few avenues to try and get through, and you never really got the thought that Elzar was kind of getting there. But it's drawn box 1 here. There are reasons to believe that might not be a positive, but he is a hold-up horse, which I do think will potentially overcome that. But Carlisle recently, you haven't wanted to be anywhere near that far side rail. You wanted to be more down the centre of the track. I do think with Elzar being more of a midfield / hold-up horse, you might just get him coming a bit more down the centre of the track and switching out from that inside draw. But I do think he's still got a little bit more to come. Obviously, he hadn't actually managed to win in his career before 2 outings ago, but now he has. He's got a little bit of confidence, and he hopefully will go well off a £3 higher mark. So I'll take Elzal in the 720 at Carlisle. But like I say, don't go crazy this week. We'll hope it's stronger next week, but it is it's not the best in the UK for evening action this week. But that's pretty much it for us, Tom. For you, Life is Good, and what was the other one?
Life is Good and Recherche in the 850 at Carlisle. As you say, this week wasn't the best. Don't want to touch on it too much, but next week hopefully it'll be much better fare that we can cover. Obviously, we've got the Belmont Derby, which is going to be a great race. Stone Age is going over for Aidan O'Brien. Aidan obviously won the race last year with Bolshoi Ballet. So not only have we got the US contenders to talk about, but we'll also have an Irish raider in Stone Age. Maybe he goes off favourite. I don't know. I don't know who else is in their lineup at this stage, but he's by far the most intriguing runner in the field. Really looking forward to cover that race, and hopefully you'll put up another UK winner or 2 as well.
If we get Stone Age going from the front at Belmont, love it.
Yeah, 100%.
Love it. I don't know who will ride. I don't know if Ryan will go over, but doesn't matter. Love it. Big fan of that.
Yeah, I anticipate Ryan would go over, to be fair, because he went over last year for Bolshoi Ballet. I mean, it depends who, obviously, Aidan and Ballydoyle have running next weekend in UK and Ireland, but I imagine Ryan will be pestering connections to go over to New York. Who wouldn't want to go over to New York for a nice little Saturday prize?
Yeah, I'd imagine, to be fair, Stone Age will potentially be an American horse in time, obviously in the Peter Brandt colours, but that's something for next week, as we'll talk about Stone Age. Then, as for this week, don't forget new SBK customers will get £30 in free bets by depositing £10. Got it right this week, Tom?
Phenomenal ad read after.
£30 in free bets for SBK new customers when you deposit £10. Getting good again. 2 out of 2. Well done, Luke. Tom, thank you very much for your help this week.
Yeah, cheers, Luke. I mean, it's been a decent week to cover and not a great week, but you know what? when it's poor racing like this, I say poor because obviously the US racing is good, just a poor betting heat. Hopefully we'll be able to get a couple of winners. We haven't covered too many races. You know, we can have a quick fire treble with the 2 UK horses, and life is good, and move on to next week and get stuck into some more competitive contests, let's say.
Yeah, a week where you can talk about racing, give a few opinions, and say nothing really on the SBK Saturday Night Selections podcast. We'll be back next week, same sort of time, hopefully, when we're talking about a few UK raiders over at Belmont. But for this week, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you in a week's time. Until then, have a very good week. Stay safe. Look after another. Goodbye.